Happy Friday, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And oh my gosh, a lot to talk about today. Because today we gained Ghislane Maxwell, but we lost Micah Parsons. What the hell is going on here? All right, for a little more depth on the topic, that Micah Parsons. John Ingham's coming on the James Show. And you've been on the James Show before, haven't you? Or do I just hear you on weekends and sometimes the morning show?
I have, James.
Okay.
This is my second appearance. I cannot believe you haven't committed that to memory.
Well,
it's got to be in one of your Hall of Fame broadcasts, one of your shows.
Well, I often conflate the things that I hear because you're the weekend guy, and also I've heard you on the morning show. So just
yes.
So you also work with the Cowboys in a media capacity. How much of a surprise is this?
Well, I'll say this. Until about 2 minutes ago, I really didn't put much credence in it. But when I heard Mike Trainor's report to where he read Micah's tweet or his ex or whatever the kids are calling those things these days, where he said that he wants out, that gives me a little bit more pause than I had, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes ago. At the end of the day, James, I think that he'll be back. I don't know if this is his way of trying to put the spurs to the Jones family to get a deal done, or if he's fed up. And, you know, I can see it breaking both ways right now, and I know that that's nothing definitive, but right now, just with the way the team is, with the way the organization is, and the way Micah is, I don't think that anybody can say definitively that this is going to go one way or the other. I don't know that that's what's best for Micah. I certainly don't think that that's what would be best for the Cowboys unless they have a trade in mind. You know, for a guy like that, you've got to get at least 2 ones, maybe 3, maybe a few seconds, or call the Eagles and talk about getting a couple of their defensive linemen. I mean, there are some things that could help the Cowboys, and whether or not that involves Micah remains to be seen. But, you know, right now I think it's just a little bit early to say definitively that it's going to go one way or the other, because at the end of the day, Micah's still under contract, and he can request all day long what he wants to happen, but that doesn't mean that the Cowboys have to do that by any stretch.
Right. So they picked up the 5th year on his contract. So he was just trying to get another contract early.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the last year of the deal, you typically want to go ahead and get it done. Micah said that he wanted to get the deal done last year. Conventional wisdom says that would have been good for the Cowboys to do because it would have saved them some money against the cap. But when he sees Max Crosby for the Raiders signing his deal and Hutchinson with the Bengals, he's going to sign his deal. When you see those things, of course, you want to get your deal done. And I think Micah's agent, who is one of the biggest, if not the biggest NFL agent going right now, is certainly pressuring the Cowboys to get Micah paid. A lot of people say that that's just good business to go ahead and get it done. If you look at Jerry's recent history with CD, with Dak Prescott, he waits until the last minute. And, you know, I think a lot of that is to keep the Cowboys' name in the news cycle. And I would not be surprised whatsoever if this was just simply that, James, just trying to keep the Cowboys relevant through the preseason when it's fairly mundane and there's not a lot to talk about.
Well, John, I'm not sure I share your optimism, because it's been my observation that usually when someone requests a trade, they either get the trade or then the next step would be I just sit out.
Well, and he can do that. And I don't know that that's going to be real wise, because he's not going to get any money. And it's only going to hurt his value to some degree. I mean, still, it's Micah Parsons. Let's be clear. He is going to get a heck of a deal. But, you know, he can sit out if he wants to. The Cowboys won't have to pay him. So you're right about that. But I don't think that that's in his best interest whatsoever. And, again, the Cowboys don't have to trade him just because he requested. They don't have to trade him.
All right. Well, John Ingham, a lot of people I've already just looked at the battle scene from Braveheart that is social media right now talking about this. And a lot of fingers are being pointed at Jerry Jones. What the claim is that he just runs off good talent, and we're never going to get anywhere as long as this guy's in charge.
It's CD. He kept those guys. He just signed Jake Ferguson, who is one of the best young tight ends in the league. He signed Oso Odigizua. I mean, I don't know that I agree with that. That's low hanging fruit for a lot of fans who, yeah, of course Jerry's going to be the biggest punching bag, and that's just the position that he's in. Has he hit on all of his signings or non-signing? No, of course not. No one ever will. But to say that he runs off good talent, I don't know that I would agree with that.
Yeah, he does seem to be an easy mark in this situation. However, John Ingham, Micah Parsons had retweeted a quote from Jerry Jones not too long ago. I think it was from July 21st. They were out at training camp, and it was kind of a dig. Let me play this for you real quick and get your reaction here. This is from July 21st, so just a couple weeks ago.
Just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
Micah had retweeted that a couple weeks ago. I don't think he liked it.
Well, I mean, it's football, James. People get hurt. And what Jerry is saying there is just because you sign somebody to a long-term deal doesn't mean that they're going to be there because they can get hurt.
I would agree.
It happened to Micah. It happened to Dak. It's going to happen again to players this year. I mean, that's just football. I don't think that if – I don't know what Micah was thinking when he retweeted that or from what position he was coming from. All I can do is look at it and take what I hear Jerry saying is it doesn't matter how much money. I can give him $10 billion. That doesn't mean that he's going to be healthy and play all season long.
All right. Well, this is John Ingham. You can catch him on the weekends. He does the morning show on WBAP. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. Appreciate it.
You bet, James. Have a good day.
Well, who is on that train? Who is on the anti-Jerry train when they hear this? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Because I'm going to make the case for optimism with Jerry Jones at the helm. I do think we can win another one, and I do think we have a chance at winning one pretty soon. But is Jerry Jones, is he running off Micah Parsons? Is he running off good players? Will we ever win with this guy in charge? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Happy Friday, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Our top story of the day, Micah Parsons requesting a trade. Oh, my goodness. We haven't even started the season, and we've already got calamity. And don't tell me about the Hall of Fame game that was last night. I'm aware it exists. Preseason football doesn't count. It's like kissing your sister. So, no, I'm not too excited about this news. I did feel a little better talking about John Ingham from the WBAP weekend mornings. And he doesn't think the trade's going to happen. He's so optimistic that these two kiddos can settle their differences and work it out, and Micah Parsons will remain a Cowboy because he does have another year left on his contract. And social media is just blowing up over this, with a lot of people pointing the finger at Jerry Jones. And look, Jerry Jones has made some bad decisions. Of course, he's a human being. All owners of all football teams have made boo-boos. All general managers have made boo-boos. But I don't agree with this sort of fatal conceit that we'll never win. We have no chance of winning with Jerry Jones in charge. Well, he's already won 3. Yeah, but that's when he had Jimmy Johnson. Fine, he can go hire someone else that's on the level of Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson's not an unattainable one-off coaching phenomenon. He can find another one. He can get lucky. He's not getting worse at his job. He's not an idiot. He now has 30 years of experience. We'll get into that in just a second. 800-288-9227. This is Edward in Dallas on WBAP. Edward, go.
Hey, so his history shows that, he's a businessman. He doesn't want to lose money, so that's what he's worried about. Because as soon as they pay that big money, it seems they always get hurt, or they ain't got to try as hard like they used to because they got that big guaranteed money. That's what he's worried about.
Well, you say that, but he shelled out a ton of money for Dak Prescott. He shelled out a ton of money for CD Lamb. Why not a ton of money for Micah Parsons?
Because he's tired of them losing money. He's a businessman.
All right. Well, I mean, that doesn't explain why Micah Parsons is getting hammered or getting ignored when other guys didn't. He was just as important as CD Lamb. Maybe not as important as the Dak Prescott, but somewhere close to it.
Yeah, but Jerry likes to drag his feet on stuff. That's the thing about it. He's looking at it all kinds of directions, trying to figure out if it's a good deal to go ahead and sign him or not. Somebody might come along and say, hey, I give you these other players for him, and he's like, okay, he'll come up on top. That's what it might be.
Edward in Dallas, I still don't know where you stand on this. Is Jerry Jones a net good for the Cowboys, or is he a net negative for the Cowboys?
He's a negative. Like I said, how long has it been since we won a Super Bowl?
1995. And if you jerks want to say it was January 96, I know, but it was the 95 season. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but like I said, that's a long, long time,
Just 30 years, that's all.
One day, yeah, I was a youngster, though.
I know, it's a long time, wasn't it?
Heck yeah, big time.
Okay. Do you think Mike is actually going to leave, or is this just a bluff to make the negotiations happen?
Just to make them jump. That's what it is. He's going to, like I said, he's threatening them that he's going to leave and stuff like that, so extra hard now. So,
if he feels genuinely butthurt, he's going to leave. I hope you're right. But it's been my observation that usually when guys request a trade, it is over. It's like the past the point of no return. It's like when you're in a relationship and you just take a break. Hey, y'all, just younger people, if the person you're dating ever wants to take a break, it's over. Just go ahead and break up. They're just trying to phase into it and pull the Band-Aid off slowly, or they don't want to jump into a cold pool. They just want to ease in from the shallow end. So that's my equivalence here as far as the relationship between a player and their football team goes, is once you request a trade, it's awful hard to come back from that. And I haven't seen a whole lot of that happen. But yeah, Micah Parsons has just requested a trade from the Cowboys. And look, Micah Parsons himself retweeted this quote from Jerry Jones from July 21st at Cowboys training camp, where he was asked about renegotiating with Micah Parsons and why a deal wasn't getting done.
Just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
So if you want to check it out, Micah Parsons typed out what turned out to be a 3-screenshot sort of public letter announcing his trade request, and he put it on his X account, what we used to call Twitter. So go find Micah Parsons on Twitter/X. It's the second post there, right under his pin post. And he talks about how he wanted to be a Cowboy and how he was trying to get his deal renegotiated last year and it got put off. And he's going into the final year of his contract, so he wanted to get it done before the end of this year. And the Cowboys don't owe him a renegotiation. A lot of times they do, but they don't owe him that. And so he's in the spot here where his agent reached out and tried to speak to people and get this ball rolling and get this contract renegotiated. And Jerry Jones just didn't reciprocate. Now, granted, I'm only hearing one side of the story, the Micah Parsons side. But at the very end of this letter, this is how it ends. Again, it's too long to read the whole thing. But he says, up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. Still, I stayed quiet, but again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally. He no longer wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Can you imagine? Did you grow up around here? If you're a transplant, just imagine whatever your hometown team is. But I'm from about 2 hours east of where I'm sitting right now. And I couldn't imagine a scenario where I was a Dallas Cowboy and I would request a trade. Little James Parker from Bug Tussle, East Texas. If I was ever a Cowboy, Jerry Jones came back to me. He's like, well, Parker, we're going to renegotiate your contract. And for the next 4 years, we're just going to pay you in sand. I'd be like, that's great. That'll work. Where do I sign? And I don't know Micah Parsons personally. And of course, people can put on a facade for the media and public relations. But he seemed like a good guy too. I hope we don't lose him. Go look at his Twitter profile. A lot of positive reinforcement, a lot of him trying to, even though he's kind of a young guy, sort of trying to talk like a mentor. And this, you got to work hard to get ahead and you got to be a better version of yourself. And it's just really positive. It seems like it's thoughtful, not just like, hey, I'm awesome. Look how fast I run. Like I follow a lot of sports people on Twitter, and it's usually a pretty shallow pool that they splash around in. Micah Parsons a little more thoughtful. He will be missed if he leaves, but I hope he stays. And y'all don't be too fatalistic. Jerry Jones is not the devil. We can still win eventually, somehow, some way. Will it be this year? I don't know. Will it be harder if we lose Micah Parsons? Of course. But the game will continue, and hopefully these kids can work it out. Coming up next, did you hear about the guy who killed the couple that was hiking with their daughters in Arkansas at Devil's Den? Terrible name. Did you hear that he's actually a former elementary school teacher from Louisville? So coming up next, do you really know your kids' teachers? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. Happy Friday. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. If you got any comment on Mike Parsons, we'll be happy to talk about that throughout the show. But this next story, it's even more disturbing than Micah Parsons requesting a trade. There was that crazy killer that happened in Arkansas at a hiking trail called Devil's Den. My God, can we rename that now? That's nice and evil. But, okay, that's crazy people exist. Psychopaths exist. It happened a long ways away. It's kind of scary, but whatever. Bad things happen. We live in a fallen world. Here's where it kind of bugs me. This guy, just a couple years ago, was an elementary school teacher in Louisville. Now, I have concerns about such things because I have children. Myself and Mrs. Parker, we are quite fertile. We have 4 kids. Hi, Miss Parker. I mean, she had 4 kids, but I participated for a minute, maybe 2. But now our kids are going to go to school here in about 2 weeks. So are your kids or maybe your grandkids or whatever. And we're all about to go to our kids' orientation. And so now that my kids are getting a little bit older, I've got one in high school, middle school. And so my kids each have, I don't know, maybe 8 teachers tops. I think my youngest one still has like 2 or 3. But I've got to go meet like 30 teachers between all 4 of my kids. And all you do, I don't know how many how many teachers you have to meet, but all you do is you go for the orientation, you shake their hand, you look them in the eye, you sit in some awkwardly sized desk while they give you a 3 to 4 minute little summary about their class and what it's all about. Answer some questions, and then you move on to the next class. You really could just spend just a few precious minutes with the teachers, if you even go to the orientation at all. Now, a lot of dads aren't going to make it because work gets in the way. Sometimes moms and dads can't make it, and kids had to miss orientation altogether. So the scary part is, do you really know your kids' teachers? Do you really know in depth that you don't have one of these psychopathic killers in your kid's school, in your kid's class, as your kid's homeroom? Yeah, that should make you feel uneasy. Because I feel like when I first started having kids, you know, that first one gets old enough that he goes to kindergarten. And all you have to do is meet one teacher, look him in the eye, assess him, maybe Google him, maybe do a couple of background checks on him. But no, Miss Perez checked out just fine. And I felt like I had a pretty good hold on it. I had to keep track of one teacher for one kid. When the second kid got in school, okay, so they're both in elementary school. They each have one teacher each. So that, boom, 2 teachers I've got to keep an eye on. Not that big of a deal. But now I'm up to 4 kids who have up to 8 teachers. And by the time they're out, like in a couple of years, I'm going to have to, know 32 teachers every year? Not really possible now, is it? There's only so much you can do. Do you realize the level of trust we put in this government agency we call the public school system? Do you realize how many teachers, how many adults are going to have access to your kids in a vulnerable position? I mean, I'm looking at 32 a year, and this is going to happen for multiple years. So hundreds. And that's just the teachers. There's all kinds of coaches, counselors, teachers' assistants, lunch ladies, janitors, maintenance men, bus drivers, crossing guards. There's all kinds of people who have access to your kids. And it should freak you out a little bit to know that one in our backyard, Louisville's not far. Some of you live in Louisville. Some of you had kids that went to that school. Kind of a scary thought now, isn't it? So what's your solution, James? Well, a couple of solutions. Maybe we should pay a little bit more attention to our teachers, number 1. Number 2, if you're thinking about homeschooling and you're on the cusp, maybe that pushes you over the boundary into homeschooling or some sort of hybrid thing. You know, I see a lot of these homeschool parents that don't really homeschool. Their kids go to some little room with a bunch of other homeschoolers, and they do these pod things. And so there's sort of like a hybrid learning system. A lot of people go through their church and do something on that level. But between things like this and the Bad Apple series that you get from Texas Scorecard, where they have highlighted over 300 teachers that have done sexual things with your kids over the last 3 years just in Texas. I don't know. There seems to be a problem, though. There seems to be a huge issue with this, but also we have a tendency to overreact. Let's look at this from the other side of the spectrum. You can be hypervigilant to the point of paranoia, or you can be so relaxed that you're like, whatever. And an endeavor where millions of kids are being instructed. Of course, some bad apples are going to be drawn to that field because they have compulsions that drive them to be in vulnerable positions with children. We can do the best. We can have excellent interviews. We can run background checks on all of them, but this is a human endeavor, and some of them are inevitably going to slip through the cracks. And while each one's a tragedy, James, it's not something that really needs additional addressing. I disagree. Did you see the mugshots with this guy? Could you imagine this guy getting through an interview for an elementary school? Because he looked angry. And I realize if you're getting arrested for a double murder and you're very likely not going to see the outside of a prison again, that's probably not going to be good for your mood. But it wasn't angry like, oh no, I've ruined my life and I'm going to spend the rest of my life behind bars. This wasn't anger like, oh, if they lock me up, I'm not going to get to kill any more people. The stabbing people was so fun. I want to do that again. Like, he looked like just the epitome of a demon. He looked quite evil. And so when we talk about, it's not fair to stereotype people or to be suspicious about people because their race or their gender or whatever. Well, it is for elementary school teachers. You see a grown-ass man who has the countenance of the animatronic shark from Jaws. Go ahead and discriminate against that guy. Could you? Now, I think they would if they had 10 other teachers who look like they're a better fit. But I guess we just have a teacher shortage, desperate schools, and crazy people are going to fall through the cracks. So my only lesson here, school's about to start up in 2 weeks. Keep an extra eye on these people. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Because as a parent, I really want to know, what do you do to keep an eye on your teachers? Do you run background checks on all of your kids' teachers? Do you Google them all? Do you run them cross-reference against the sex offense registry? Or what do you do? How paranoid are you about your teachers? 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, the presidential fitness test is back. Should have never left. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Kind of scary news today. Football hasn't even started, and season might be over before it even starts. Micah Parsons requested a trade from the Cowboys. He's not happy at the lack of enthusiasm for his request to get a new contract, and some people say that he's gone. Some people say that it's just a negotiating tactic, and these two kids will work it out, and he'll be playing for the Cowboys this season. Let's ask someone who watches a little more football than you and me, the great Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on the Ticket. Welcome back, Donovan. How was camp? See, that sounds like fantasy land. It's July over there, but the high is 70 degrees. That's cheating. All right. Are you worried about Micah Parsons asking for a trade? Says he doesn't want to be a Cowboy anymore. Do you think that's going to happen, or do you think he's going to work it out and stay? And then got a deal? Well, Donovan Lewis, we've seen Jerry Jones be willing to back up a dump truck full of money to keep Dak Prescott, to keep CeeDee Lamb. What's his hesitation for Micah Parsons? Yeah, I think true. Yeah. All right, we're talking with Donovan Lewis from the world's most dangerous midday show, The Invasion on the Ticket, about Micah Parsons requesting a trade from the Cowboys. If you're not a football fan and don't know why that's such a big deal, he's their best defensive player and one of the best defensive players in the league right now. And for some of us that do watch, if this guy walks, I'm about ready to write off this season, Donovan. Right. Well, our defensive line's in question. We lost Demarcus Lawrence, who was the other Micah Parsons. We have 18 running backs, and I don't know any of their names. So, like, that's one of the big holes that we have. So I don't know. If I was fatalistic about this, I would start writing off the season right now if Micah leaves. No. Yeah. And I liked Micah Parsons. He's always bragging about wearing the star on his helmet and how cool it is to be a Cowboy. And that kind of flattery works on me as a Cowboys fan. All right, this is Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on the Ticket, the world's most dangerous midday show. You can catch him from, you're now on 9 to 1. Isn't that right? Yeah, remember y'all made the changes. I never listened, though. I never listened to the ticket. Thanks for your HSOs, sir. All right. Coming up next on the James Show, we got to get into the presidential fitness test. Speaking of sports, presidential fitness test. I mean, I guess it's a good idea. I have a better idea when we talk about fitness for the kiddos. We'll talk about that next on the James Show. 800-288-9227. Or if you got some hot Micah opinions, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. So Donald Trump wants to bring back the presidential fitness test. All right, that sounds good. I remember doing the presidential fitness test. Do we not do that anymore? I didn't know we stopped. Oh yeah, actually, I remember this. We stopped under President Obama. Oh. And why did we stop doing the presidential fitness tests? Well, you remember it was the late aughts, early teens, and there was a anti-bullying hysteria. Not that bullying is good, but clearly it went too far. Because now, in order to not feel like we're bullying some kids, we have stopped encouraging a healthy lifestyle or even measuring it. We don't even want the meter of your health here. Just go do whatever you want because we don't want to hurt your feelings. Well, let's go ahead and look at how that's worked out. How are we doing now? Did we do them a favor? Because when you try and prevent some chubby kid's feelings from being hurt, there's an opportunity lost there. Look, this is anecdotal, granted, but I imagine this story has been repeated thousands, if not millions of times through our society's history. But my first college roommate, he was a fat kid, and he got picked on quite a bit for being fat in elementary school, and it really wasn't that big of a deal until you start liking girls. And then one day, he fell in love with a little girl that went to his school and his church because he's from another bug tussle. And it turns out she didn't like him back. So he assumed it's because of his appearance. And so, what did he do? Well, he didn't go curl up in his room and play video games forever. No. He didn't go cry online or get a therapist or try and, change his sexual identity. He did what Forrest Gump did. He started running. So Matt joined the track team, and Matt has a hilarious story. It's almost like a Christian testimonial on from going to a fat kid to being an in-shape kid. Talks about going to his first track meet. Not only getting last place, but being in last so bad that they had already turned the timer off. It doesn't matter. Whenever you finish, whenever you can walk your fat butt across the line, Matt. Well, Matt improved himself. Matt took what some call bullying as constructive criticism, even though it was a little harmful, even though it hurt his feelings, even though not everyone that said it with the best intentions. He took that criticism and he made himself a better person. The people around him, the society that you and I grew up in, didn't look at an unhealthy kid and say, you just be you. No, we would tell you, you're overweight, you should do something about it. Here's a better way to live life. Maybe exercise, maybe do a little jogging, maybe lift a little weights, maybe eat with a spoon instead of a shovel. And he's actually improved his life, hasn't been fat since, has a beautiful wife, kids who are now, one of them's in college. And he thanks the bullies in his life. He thanks the humiliation that came with the poor decisions he was making earlier. It's not like you're just born that way. It's not like you come out of your mom and no matter what you do, you're going to be pushing 3 bills. If you're in the position where a fitness test is a humiliating public spectacle for you, you are only in that position because you've made a ton of bad decisions before that time. The lesson isn't just, are you in shape? Or are we going to mock people who aren't in shape? The message that we should learn is pulling that away, taking that away, has resulted in a whole generation of kids who are, what are the epidemics you hear about young adults these days? They're overweight, they're single, they're childless, they have delayed family formation, they are unhappy, they're on all kinds of antidepressants, they're going to therapists. And most of this is because they're out of shape, fat, single, and not nearly close to their full potential, because that's what really hurts. It's not that you don't look like Marky Mark with your shirt off. It's not that you don't look like The Rock in a tank top. It's that you are not nearly the best version of your own self. You haven't even pushed and seen what your body can do. You've let yourself down. And it's not just that you let yourself down like, oh, this is what I've become. How many times did you lie to yourself? I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start working out. Starting tomorrow, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set my alarm. I'm going to get up at 5:30 so I can get up and I can do this before I have to wake up the kids and get ready for work and start my whole day. And what you do? You hit snooze. You slept in. You ordered a dessert. You got fried food. You ate fast food. You didn't go for a walk because it was too hot or it was too cold or it was raining or you were too busy or you were too tired. You've really been lying to yourself. And that's what hurts. That's what hurts when you look in a mirror and you're not happy with the condition of your own health. For many times, you have no one to blame but yourself. And the presidential fitness test was really, for a lot of people, the first metric where it dawns on you, hey, in adulthood, you're going to be responsible for your own health. You're not going to get sent to a PE class every day where someone makes you be physically active, where someone makes your cardiovascular system actually pump and work out for 5 seconds a day. But I don't think it should stop there. Stick with me, because coming up next, I have something better than the presidential fitness test. I want the Texas fitness test. I don't know, maybe we'll call it the governor's fitness test. But I think where we measure, your running, how many push-ups you can do, how much you weigh versus how tall you are. I mean, that's fine and all. But I have a lot I would like to add to that. Really just a few very important things I would like to add to that. And you'll hear it next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Okay, so here's your homework assignment, and I'll circle back to this after we talk to my next guest, Jeremy Rosenthal from TexasDefenseFirm.com. But Donald Trump announced that he's bringing back the presidential fitness test. It's been gone since the Obama era, and I want to add to it because I would like to have like a Texas fitness test. And I don't know if we call it the governor's fitness test, but including the running, jumping, push-ups, or whatever's in the fitness test we got going on now. In Texas, shouldn't we add to that shooting? You know, I don't know if there'd be different categories like sniping or like a quick draw, but shooting should be in there. The Texas governor's test should include some more practical things like changing a tire. You should be able to demonstrate that you can operate normal household appliances. Do you know how to do an oven, a stove, a dishwasher, a washing machine, a dryer, the hot water heater? So if you can demonstrate proficiency with that, those are real life skills that'll also help. What would you add to the Texas fitness test? I added shooting, changing a tire, operating appliances. What would you add? Send it to james@wbap.com. You can send me a Facebook message. You can comment on the live stream I've got going right now. But later in the show, I'm going to share some of your answers to what you would add to the test. All right, now to my next guest, the great Jeremy Rosenthal, the legal analyst for the James Show. So let me go ahead and get over my skis here, Jeremy. I'm kind of excited about the idea that Ghislane Maxwell has been moved from wherever she was in Florida to wherever she is here in Texas in the Bryan area, because this follows about, what was that, just last week or was it 2 weeks ago, where she had a couple days of questioning with an official from the Department of Justice. And so I think this is a sign that she's cooperating. She's naming names, and accommodations are being made to facilitate getting this information out. Am I jumping the gun here, or does that seem right to a lawyer? Well, look, I'm picking up a little sarcasm there, Jeremy, but I can also see the case that she's not talking, so maybe they're trying to butter her up, or maybe she's saying, yeah, I'll talk, but she's not really talking, and so they're just kind of going along with this, seeing if she will spill some more beans. So I'm not 100% on the idea that she's spilling the beans just yet. I just think that's probably the more possible or probable out of the possible scenarios. So what about clemency? That's the word I see him asked. Are you thinking about giving her clemency? That seems to be sort of a softer, maybe more politically palatable version of a pardon. I think it wouldn't be political kryptonite if we take down significant people. Because I think most of us would be okay trading Ghislane Maxwell if it takes down 10 of the billionaire oligarch elites from around the world, because there's always been sort of this conspiracy theory of an elite group of pedophiles that are puppet masters pulling the strings behind all the people in positions of power. And if you take down 10 of the billionaires and it's people it's like a Bill Gates, and it's Prince Andrew finally goes down, and maybe some of these Hollywood people like a Puff Daddy and I'm just throwing names out there. I'm not saying they're on the list. I think if you get some big names and you get some big trophies, Ghislane will be easily overlooked. But Jeremy, don't they already know this from her trial? She's in jail for sex trafficking, and you figure at the trial they would have established to whom. But the girls did. But didn't some of the girls? Yep. Jeremy Rosenthal, you don't sound very optimistic that we're going to get anything out of this. Jeremy. Are we going to see? Yeah, a lawyer not getting paid. This is what you're worried about, Jeremy Rosenthal. Are we going to see millionaire pedophiles go to jail? Yes or no? We're kind of out of time, but just yes or no. All right. You can find him at texasdefensefirm.com. This is a great Jeremy Rosenthal, legal analyst for the James Show on WBAP. Thank you, sir. All right. Well, that wasn't as optimistic as I'd hoped, but I'd rather get the cold truth than a warm lie. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. You're going to hear some listener feedback on what they would add to the presidential fitness test, or the governor's fitness test here in Texas. I like the sound of that better. If you got anything you want to add, same phone number, 800-288-9227. Email me, james@wbap.com. Send me a Facebook message. Whatever. I'll read some of them next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday, fellow Texans. This is The James Show. I am your host, James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your weekend starts in an hour and 23 minutes. I'm going to keep you very entertained between now and then. And the topic at hand, President Trump wants to bring back the presidential fitness test. I like the sound of that. He had an event, sort of a press conference with himself and a bunch of sporty guys behind him. You recognize a few of them. There was the wrestler Triple H there for some reason. There was a golfer, Shambo. And there was Harrison Butker, the kicker that got in trouble for saying pro-Christian things last year, if you remember that. Lawrence Taylor was there. And so just a quick clip from the press conference. He was having a little fun with it, too. He was in a good mood.
Well, I'm delighted to be here with some of the truly great sports legends of all time as we formally announce the newest members of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This is an important step in our mission to make America healthy again. It's something that's very important, what we're doing, very important.
Well, and when you ask, why is it important for kids to be fit? There's a few answers to that. On the whole, as a nation, as a society, you want fit kids because, you think that if we're ever going to have to go to war, which on a long enough time scale we will again, having fit young men is definitely preferable to having doughy, out-of-shape, weak men. If we're going to storm the beaches of Normandy, you got to be able to run 100 yards without wheezing. There's also on the micro level, it's better for the individual. It's better for you to be in shape. It's better for you. There's so much of your health that depends on you being in shape. You want to, have a fit, good-looking body? Well, you should work out. Do you want to have strong heart health? Well, you should be able to work out. Do you want to be able to lift heavy objects? Well, then you should probably work out. Do you want to be able to do strenuous activity for long amounts of time? Well, you should probably work out. You're having bad digestion. You should probably work out. You're having trouble sleeping at night. You should probably work out. You're having trouble with, your insulin, your pre-diabetes, with inflammation. How many ailments are we dealing with in modern American society that have their predicate, their starting point on the person being unhealthy? Think of all that we do to avoid exercise in life. And I don't mean a car. I don't mean an escalator. I mean, people go out and they get on the weirdest diets. They'll just cut out entire swaths of their food options. Like, I'm just not going to eat any bread or sugar or cereal or gluten or, they got the Atkins diet. You got the South Beach diet. You got the carnivore diet. You got the vegan diet. You're eating brewer's yeast. And then there's the $1 billion, $9 billion a year people spend on diet pills. Yeah, I don't want to work out. I'll either eat just a completely insane diet, or I'll take some pills, some stimulants of some sort. I'll do that, but I won't work out to lose weight. What else will you do to lose weight? I'll have them put a band, like a little zip tie around my stomach so it can only hold so much. Yeah, the gastric bypass. They'll have part of their small intestine ripped out. They'll get on Ozempic to where it makes them sick and food is gross to them. Where, hey, I know you feel like you're just losing weight, but you're kind of dying over there. But people will do anything but work out in order to lose weight and or be healthy. Hey, your blood pressure is a little high. You got two options. You can either work out or take this pill. Give me the pill. And it's not, this isn't an American thing. This is across the globe. There's just something about the human condition that makes us inherently averse to exercise. And it's one of the most devastatingly consequential instincts we need to shake. So yeah, presidential fitness, that's a good idea, but I don't think it should stop there. I think it's good that you should have, a good working body, some muscle mass, some endurance, and be able to demonstrate that as a kid. So in adulthood, you'll be able to maintain that. But it doesn't need to stop there. We need to have a Texas version of this that adds some things. So instead of, the American president having a fitness test, we could have the Texas governor fitness test that includes all the running, jumping, push-ups. I want to add shooting. I want to add changing a tire. I want to add operating household appliances. Bud has a good one. Bud emailed me at james@wbap.com, says he would like to add in counting change without the register telling you how much. You know what? Damn, that's a good one. That's a good one. Being able to say, okay, if I give the clerk a $20 bill, how much money am I supposed to get back? And being able to do it in your head. He also says teach them to read an analog clock. Maybe. Here's another good one. Mark wants to make young people be able to show off their proficiency with a belt, which I've mastered the belt. I never had a problem with belt. You never had a problem with the belt. But you see people walking down the street, you see people in Walmart, you see people in the grocery store that haven't quite mastered the belt yet, have they? You see them in a lot of crime scene videos. You see it in a lot of surveillance videos at gas stations and shopping centers, jewelry stores. Some people haven't quite mastered the belt. Mark, that's hilarious. Hey, Mark gets 3 points. I don't have any more info on him. He didn't say where he's from. But, Mark, if you tell me where you're from, we'll put you on the board with 3 points for that one. Real quick on the phones, Bill, Grand Prairie, you're on WBAP.
How about be able to tell time on a normal watch? But all of the things you mentioned, the belt, the boom, the everything, you got to put your bloody iPhone down for 30 seconds or your iPad. I think 40 and 50-year-old men everywhere have ED from high cholesterol, blah, 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 blah. I mean, soon enough, it's going to be 16 and 18-year-olds the way that we're going.
Oh, my goodness. That's so sad. But, no, I think I would fail the iPhone test. You say you got to put it down for a half hour?
Just 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. I could do 30 seconds.
1 minute here, 1 minute there. Nothing crazy. We don't want anybody's face to explode.
All right. Well, I like that. That's a pretty good addition there, Bill. But I am not one of those people who are like, we need to stop looking at our screens and all the phone. People need to stop looking at their phones while they're driving or while they're out in public or while they're at a concert or while they're at dinner. No, look at your phone. It's fine. That's just what we do now. It's fun. Don't be a big baby. You sound like an old man screaming at clouds. Not at you, Bill. But if you can't do it for 30 seconds, then yeah, I agree with Bill in Grand Prairie. You probably have a much bigger problem. So what would you add to the fitness test? 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Steve Cotton, a financial strategist on the economic news. We got some kind of disappointing job numbers, but we got a good GDP number yesterday. What does this mean for your money? You'll find out next on The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. Happy Friday. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, keep your fitness test recommendations rolling in. After we talk to my next guest, I'll share with some of the new additions. The presidential fitness test is coming back. I don't think it covers enough, so we're doing our own Texas fitness test. You can email me, JamesWBAP, or leave me a Facebook message. But let's stop down and talk about the economy for a second here, because there's a little of a push and a pull here. And my next guest is going to try and make a little more sense about how specifically these headlines are going to affect your money. Steve Cotton's back on. He's a local financial advisor, policy expert. Welcome back, Steve. Okay, so we had good news yesterday that GDP growth came in at 3%. And the fact that it's positive means we haven't been in a recession this whole time. So all of that scaremongering has just gotten thrown in the trash can. And then today we had a jobs report that some are saying is sort of disappointing here. But when I looked at the numbers, it wasn't even bad. So where do you stand on the economic news of the last 2 days? The economy doing pretty good? Well, Steve Cotton, a lot of people who've been predicting doom over the tariff situation, that hasn't come to fruition, and we're a good 6-7 months into Trump's term. Well, Steve Cotton, what advice would you give to someone on a micro level? We all, most of us have investments in a 401k, IRA, something going on. Do we need to be making any moves based on this new news? American Eagle, probably be real strong. Thank you very much. This is Steve Cotton from Cotton Wealth Management here in town. Appreciate hearing from a financial advisor on economic news. Thank you, sir. All right, there he is, Steve Cotton. Coming up next, I'm interested to see what a couple callers on hold want to add to the presidential fitness test. We're making our own Texas version of the governor's fitness tests. If you're just joining us, the presidential fitness test is coming back. I want to add to it shooting and changing a tire and operating household appliances. We've also had Mark added proficiency with a belt, which is kind of funny, but also useful. Bud says he wants to make sure people can make change at the cash register. What would you add to the Texas governor's fitness test? 800-288-9227. That's next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and your weekend's about to start. 54 minutes, and then we're all going to get out of here, go crazy with the kiddos, and come back and do this again on Monday. But if you're just joining us, the topic at hand is the presidential fitness test is being revived. It's something that you and I did when we were little kiddos. You remember doing that? Running, jumping, push-ups, sit-ups. So now I just learned that it went away. I didn't even realize it went away. But under the Obama, it went away because, bullying. We don't want to make unhealthy kids feel ashamed about being unhealthy. No need to encourage a healthy lifestyle here. Terrible idea, obviously. We see the results of it now a generation later. Kids are fat, single, childless, depressed, on antidepressants, high blood pressure, pre-diabetic. And so many of the ailments that are affecting all of American society right now would be cured if not for a little bit of exercise on the part of all of us. We could all exercise a little bit more, not pointing fingers. Don't get upset. Not judging. But I wanted to add something to it. We're going to bring back the presidential fitness test. I don't think it's good enough that we just worry about push-ups, sit-ups, jumping, running, things like that. There's other assessments that I think are just as important for people making that transition from childhood into adulthood. I would add in shooting. The Second Amendment's enshrined in the Constitution, one of the most important things we are trusted with by the founding fathers. And I think that would be a good idea. You don't have to own a gun. You don't have to carry a gun. But wouldn't it be nice if we assessed whether or not you're literate with a gun? So I would add that. I would add some other just functional things that every adult should do. I would add changing a tire. I would add, let's check to see if you can operate all the appliances in your household. And easy stuff. I'm sure everyone can do a microwave, but can you do the oven? Can you do the stove? Can you fix a hot water heater? So there's a couple of good ones there. Mark emailed in, said proficiency with a belt, which sounds kind of like a joke, but you know how some people have their pants hanging below their bottom. It's like, do you know how belts work, sir? Bud said you should check their proficiency of making change at the cash register. I thought that was a good addition. If you want to add one in, you can email me, james@wbap.com. You could call in. There's only one line open, 800-288-9227. Just like Mike and Garland. You're on WBAP. What would you add, sir?
Well, James, I'd like to make a statement of fact followed up by a compare and contrast question.
Interesting. Okay.
In America, or the state of Texas, anybody under the age of 18 cannot buy alcohol, cigarettes, nicotine products, can't get tattoos because they are not mentally developed enough to be in charge of their life for something that could have long-term health consequences. That's a statement of fact. Compare and contrast. If you as a parent have a 12-year-old that is 5 foot tall and weighs 50 pounds because you are either abusive or willfully negligent, you are starving them, you would be arrested and thrown in prison. Why can't it be the same the other way? If for 3 years in a row your child grows more and more morbidly obese and they're 12 years old, that is your fault as a parent. You should be legally held to the same standard as if you starved them to death because you're killing them, but in the opposite direction.
Well, look, you don't die from being fat necessarily. Like, you die of starvation in 2 weeks. You can be fat for 60 years.
I agree, but it has a cascade effect, as you were talking earlier. Joints, your liver, your endocrine system. The fatty deposits around the organs. The kids are not responsible.
Oh, I'm not making the case that being fat is a healthy lifestyle and it shouldn't be discouraged. But no, I don't think we should throw people in prison for that. It should be a little more frowned upon. Like I think of, no one says the N-word in public, not because it's illegal, because all of society will condemn you and punish you for it. I remember when I was watching Walk the Line, the June Cleaver, Johnny Cash biopic, that she was shunned in public because she had a divorce. And so people whispered about her when she was at the general store. Like, oh, there's June Carter. She got divorced. Ooh, she's a bad person. So we used to shun divorce. And, better off for it when you look at the crime stats and whatnot. We should just shun being fat like that again. It should be somewhat controversial. We shouldn't, and I'm not saying you're a bad person if you're overweight, or you should be treated like a pariah if you look like Grimace from the Happy Meal box. But it damn sure shouldn't be celebrated, I think is my point.
Absolutely. I'd like to focus more on the children, though, because it is, as an adult, it's our responsibility to either demonstrate through our modeling and our behavior, and if we are incapable of doing that, at least enforcing standards that are better for them. The goal should always be to make your child better than you, not the same as you.
Love it. Great call. That's Michael and Garland, y'all. Good stuff. This is Brian in Arlington. You're next up on WBAP.
All right.
Go.
Hey, James. Being that we're discussing Texas, why not have horse riding? Gives kids, that more responsibility over a large animal and kind of a backbone.
I hate to tell you this, Brian. I'm about to hurt a lot of feelings out here because my parents are horse people and I'm not. No one needs to know how to ride a horse. Or how about this? Few people need to know how to ride a horse. You're far more likely to need to know how to change a tire than ride a horse in adulthood. Dude, I grew up on a horse ranch, so my parents are horse people. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why are y'all so into horses? Oh, they're beautiful, they're majestic, they're smart, they're fun. Look, I get that, but we don't need that going forward. We don't need a chuck wagon either.
No. But as far as like giving people backbones to, where they're not so wimpy around situations, you actually have to control a large animal and make it do what you're wanting it to do.
Well, look,
and there's a certain fitness level that goes with that. I have a niece that's a jumper, or she does competitive jumping.
Yeah, but listen. You're talking about a very specific skill set, and while it is important because we're still going to raise cows and eat hamburgers and whatnot, 99% of the population does not need to know how to ride a horse. And it's like logging. Like, do you need to know how to chainsaw down a tree? Well, someone needs to know how to, but no one. 99% of the people that are graduating high school this year are never going to cut down a tree with a chainsaw. It might be 90% or whatever. I'm talking about the things that everybody does. Making change at the store was a great one. Adding in learning how to shoot, that was a great one. Something that most people are going to do. Proficiency with the belt was a funny one, but operating household appliances.
I agree.
This is where I'm going with that. And I'm not saying like that's not a important skill or a fun skill or a very Texan skill. I would be happy if more people knew how to ride a horse. But I don't think that makes the cut for what we're looking for in the Texas governor's fitness test. Still a great call, though, Brian, in Arlington. 800-288-9227. We have some more additions to the Texas governor's fitness test coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. We got a perfect Friday topic. This is a fun discussion here, and it's got a nice Texas angle on it, so we can all talk about how awesome it is to be us for a minute. The presidential fitness test has been revived by Donald Trump. It's something we did when we were kids, went away under Obama, because we didn't want to hurt chubby kids' feelings. Trump's bringing it back. But you know what? I look at this and I say, why stop there? There's a lot of good things that come out of the presidential fitness test that would also apply to other things besides running and jumping and how many push-ups you can do. So how about a Texas version of it? Since we don't have a president, I guess it would be the Texas governor's fitness test. But I want to add shooting, being able to exhibit proficiency with a firearm, changing a tire, operating household appliances. Mark added proficiency with a belt. Bud added making change at a cash register. And now we're just getting more recommendations for the Texas governor's list. And I like where this is going. It's a kind of an intelligent conversation, but kind of a fun conversation to have too. So let's go to Sharon in Navasota. You're on WBAP. What would you add?
Killing a snake with a garden hoe.
Hey, dude, she's standing right here. You don't have to talk about her like that. She's okay. Killing a snake.
So that's exactly why I said garden hoe and not just hoe.
No, well, you were trying to be nice, but my dirty mind went around your defenses there. So, killing a snake with a garden hoe isn't the fun way to do it. The fun way to do it is with a gun. That's what we had when I was what?
I understand, but you just keep the hoe at your back door. That's what I've given all my adult children.
Can we use something else? Can you just say shovel? Because it says
because a shovel doesn't work. A shovel doesn't work. You have to use a garden hoe because your garden hoe you can reach across and kill it. With the shovel, you have to be right over the top of it to kill it. My mother taught me this.
Oh, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Now the funny part is when I was growing up out in the middle of Bug Tussle, we had like a 30-acre hayfield that butted up against the woods. And so at certain times of the year, they would start slithering up in the backyard. And so we saw snakes on a fairly regular basis. You can easily kill it with the shovel. You turn the shovel upside down and you can kind of hit it with the spade. You do have to get close.
And when you're a girl, it's farther away from you, so it's a lot easier. Let me tell you.
Agreed. Now, the fun part is trying to shoot a snake with a pistol, because you would be surprised at how even if you get really close, like 6 feet away, you just keep missing. Like, it's hard to hit something that small with just a little bullet.
Yeah, I understand. But when my mother and I would get up at the crack of dawn and go to the blackberry patch, we would take a bucket to pick blackberries and a shovel to lift up the blackberry bushes
to make sure there's not a snake under there.
To make sure there was a rattlesnake there. Yeah.
Right. Well, look, the cheat code is a shotgun because it does a spread.
Oh, with you.
You're not gonna miss, but yeah, you making regular use of the old hoe there. Yeah, and I know about the blackberry picking because blackberries gets picked from my birthday until Memorial Day, May 8th to the last weekend of May. That's when the best blackberry time is. All right. Well, thanks for the country advice there. A lot of wisdom from people out in the middle of nowhere. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay.
This is Keith in Farmersville. You're on WBAP. What would you add to the Texas governor's fitness test?
James, I believe everyone should know how to balance a checkbook.
No, we don't balance checkbooks anymore. I have an app on my phone that balances it for me.
But they also should know how to do it on a piece of paper.
Why?
Why not?
Because we don't do it I haven't balanced a checkbook on a piece of paper since the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s, maybe the early aughts, and my life has been just fine.
So you look at it and just see what your balance is all you do. You don't really know who spent what then.
Oh, no, I absolutely know who spent what, and I can scroll through it, and I can search through the results, and I can filter it by different metrics. No, it's far superior than paper balancing your checkbook.
Okay. And one other thing, how about how interest rates work on loans?
Damn, I know. That's not really a fitness test. That's more of like a mental academic standard. But they do need to know how to do that. That's for damn sure, because we got all these student loan people who just can't figure it out. And that was one of the ones I thought about putting on there because that keeps coming up over and over. People just don't know how loans work. They're like, can you believe that the interest was accruing while it was deferred? You're like, yeah, that's how loans work. They're like, can you believe the ultra minimum payment that I have to make doesn't even cover the interest and the balance still grows? Yes, that's how loans work. So, Keith, we totally feel that. And it's not that it's not a worthy endeavor. I just don't think it fits in the presidential or governor's fitness test. Kathy Waxahachie, you're on WBAP.
Hi. I think that you should learn how or have it to learn to write in cursive. Now they don't teach it, and I think it should be brought back in. Because you can't sign anything, and you can't read the printed crap either. So,
That's a maybe. Again, that would be more of an academic thing than a physical fitness test, because like changing a tire requires physical dexterity. Balancing a checkbook or writing in cursive doesn't.
Well, that's just one thing. Being a teacher, I see it all the time. And one thing, too, is I do disagree with the killing the snakes. You should learn how to identify poisonous snakes.
I just kill them all.
No.
That's what Genesis taught me. If not for that damn snake, we wouldn't have all these problems. Thank you very much. That's Kathy and Waxahachie. Going to step aside to take a break. When we return, though, we got to play Name That Artist. So all you people on hold, I appreciate you sticking around, but we're going to have to clear up some of these phone lines for people playing Name That Artist because I'm giving away Toto tickets. Who wants to go see Toto? Call in on the good, they're hanging up now. Call in on the open lines now, 800-288-9227, because Name That Artist next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Happy Friday. You're just in time for Name That Artist. And today we're playing for 2 tickets to see Toto. If you're interested in seeing Toto, they're going to be at the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory August 18th with special guest Christopher Cross and Men at Work. That sounds kind of awesome if you're just a little bit older than me. You can get tickets and information at livenation.com. Or if you want to try and win a pair of tickets right now, call in 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, for you people already on hold, get out a pen and a paper if you still know how to write with a pen. Or you can get out a notepad file on your phone and type in the 10 artists to this montage. All right, so there it is. There's your montage. 10 songs from 9 artists, because one artist is repeated. There's your first hint over there, contestants on hold. Do I need to play it again? Did you get them all, Kimberly? Did you get all 10 of them? Did you get all 10 of them? How many do you think you got out of that one, Garrett? How many do you think you know? Because when I went before the show, I got 4. So I did absolutely terrible on this one. 800-288-9227. If you wrote them down and you want to call in, there's only one line open, but for the rest of you people on hold, I'm going to give you another chance to write it down. Let's play the montage one more time, and then we'll see if we can get a winner for Toto tickets. Go. All right, so there it goes. There's your montage. Let's see if we can get a winner here. Josh was the first one. Josh in Sanger, you're on WBAP. You ready for Name That Artist, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hear your list. Ready, go.
Doobie Brothers. Boghat. War. I didn't get number 4.
Really? Keep going.
Number 5, is that Wings?
No, actually, that's what I guessed too. I'd guess Paul McCartney on that one. You want to keep going here?
Yeah, I got, I know I've got some more.
Okay, what is after what you thought was Wings?
Lionel Richie?
Well, Lionel Richie's in there, but he wasn't after Wings.
Okay.
Or not Wings. What else you got?
Bread?
Huh?
Bread?
Bread? No, it wasn't Bread. Good guess. I know which one you're talking about.
I got Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, you got that one.
and I missed all number 9, and I got Foreigner.
Okay, so what is that? 6? He's got 6. Tom was my second one. Do you have Tom and Hurst? You're on WBAP playing Name That Artist. Do you have more than 6?
Yeah, I got 9.
Let me hear it.
Okay, Doobie Brothers, Grand Funk, War.
Whoa. No. Stop.
What?
Number 2.
I thought that was Grand Funk.
No, that's not Grand Funk. Uh-oh.
Okay. War,
Okay.
Total,
Okay.
ELO,
Okay.
Dick,
You doing good?
America,
Okay.
Stevie Wonder,
Yes, sir.
and this last one, Foreigner.
Okay, so you got 8. Can any Tom, you're the winner right now. Going in the bullpen. Can anyone beat it? Lisa, can you beat 8? This is Lisa in Fort Worth on WBAP playing Name That Artist. Can you beat 8?
Yes, I can.
All right, well, let's hear it, Lisa. For the steal.
Doobie Brothers, Bobcat, War, Toto, ELO, Six, America, Stevie Wonder, Toto, and Foreigner.
There you go. Yeah, that's it right there. That's
Yay!
That's our winner. That's what we're looking for. All right, Lisa in Fort Worth. Your prize is 2 tickets to see Toto. You have the right to pass them along to the next guy, pay it forward, or you can claim them for yourself.
Oh, I'll take them.
All right. Well, then that's a happy match we have here. I'm going to put you on hold. Garrett will get your information. We will email you the tickets. 2 tickets to see Toto, along with Christopher Cross and Men at Work. They're playing at the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory on August 18th. For the rest of us losers, other than Lisa in Fort Worth, we have to go to livenation.com. And that's Christopher Cross, not to be confused with Chris Cross from Warm It Up, Chris. I'm about to. So stupid sometimes. Coming up next, a couple viral videos to make you giggle before we get out of here for the weekend. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Your weekend starts in 11 minutes. Yes, it's okay to kind of get excited. In fact, it's okay to go ahead and start shutting all your windows at work. Just go ahead and start closing those. And go ahead and log out of the corporate intranet. Just go ahead and if you got any more emails to answer, just answer them real quick and go ahead and shut that off. We're just going to goof around for the last segment of the show here because it's going to be a long weekend. You know, we have to figure out what the heck's going on with Ghislane Maxwell coming to Texas. Does that mean some deals are being made? Does that mean something's changing? She didn't stay in the same prison. Do you think that's just a coincidence? She's talking and now she's moving, but there's nothing else that's going to happen. So it's okay to get a little excited about that. It's okay to be a little worried about the state of Micah Parsons, to where he's requested a trade, but sometimes a trade request happens and a guy immediately gets signed. Sometimes a trade request happens, I think more often, and the trade is actually fulfilled. So we would be losing our best defensive lineman and one of the best pass rushers, period, in the NFL. It's okay to worry about that. Just, say a little prayer to the football gods and hope that these two egos can kiss and make up, because the season's right around the corner and you're making me nervous. I like that guy. But before we get out of here, let's have some fun here. A couple of viral videos that I think you'd get a kick out of. First off, we talked about school a lot this show. We started off talking about the Louisville teacher, the former Louisville teacher that apparently is a psychopath that murdered a couple of parents on a hiking trail in Arkansas. Remember that? And then we were talking about the fitness test and the presidential test and the governor's test, and schools came up a bunch. And I wish every time schools came up on any sort of in-depth conversation, I would remember to play this George Carlin bit on public schools.
The reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right.
All right, so that's the great George Carlin. We never forget some of his words of wisdom. Cory Booker had an outrage moment, and he does this every once in a while. He'll do the long speech where he speaks for 23 hours at a time, but he's getting really animated, and he's getting really theatrical, and you can tell it's sort of a put on here. You can tell he's hamming it up for the cameras. And some internet ninja, just some genius, decided that they were going to put Cory Booker's latest speech, an excerpt from it, over a recording of some guy playing the Titanic theme on the recorder and playing it poorly, by the way. And I'll be damned if this just isn't a perfect fit. I find this hilarious.
There's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that were agreed with? When are we?
All right, that just awkwardly cut off. I must have messed that up. But I don't know. I watched that about 6 times in a row before I realized, how long are you going to sit here and just watch this over and over, James? It's not that funny. Well, maybe it is. Maybe if I watch it 6 times, you need to hear it too. And a final thought as we were talking about school and getting back to school is just around the corner. My sister's a teacher. She has to start going back for whatever days that they do without kids. I think like next week. So yeah, summer flew by, about to go back to school. And one 8th grader, he's already done. He's already done with all of the girls at his school.
I swear, I'm done with the girls at our school. Every day they come into school wearing these tight leggings with Nike white socks up to here over the bottom of the leggings. Then they come in with their Stanley water bottle and they go, and then they wear a sweatshirt that doesn't have a hood. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small. Always has a print right here that says like Myrtle Beach or something. And then they walk in and they go, "What's up, girl?" I'm done. It's every day.
Don't forget our little king there as you're getting ready to go back to school. Stick around. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin. Over the weekend, if you need more James Show action, totally understandable. But you're going to have to rely on the podcast to get you through. Also, we have a bunch of funny videos on YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and Instagram and Twitter or X or whatever the cool kids are calling it these days. So find us on social media, James Parker, The James Parker Show, WBAP. Find it, like, share, subscribe. Live it, learn it, love it. I'm James Parker. Have a good week, and I'll see you on Monday. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.